सर नमस्कार।
नमस्ते।
सर आउ मिनिटे 2 मिनिट पर स्टार्ट करेंगे।
ठीक है
सर
हाउ थैंक यू। आउरी जॉइन करिए। शेयरिंग कहीं होंगे। ओके I am facing the problem for sharing. Screen sharing. No. Are you seeing the screen? No. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, you are looking at the screen here? No.
Yes, sir.
Unit 1, concept and purpose of evaluation is there? No. Only screen
No, sir.
unit?
Only
No.
only
बोलिए
units
ना.
are showing, sir.
Only unit 1. Hello?
Sir.
Unit 1, concept and purpose of evaluation is there. Then basically when I'm scrolling it, are you observing it or not? No.
No, sir.
Then what will you do? Okay. I can share the screen through the mobile. Start. Document. सुनिबो सर सर स्क्रीन शेयर प्रीतम बाबू स्क्रीन शेयरिंग टा कहीं होने देखले देखले এটা দেইছি কাই আসুনি whether it is sharing the screen ଅଛି ତ କରୁଛି ଏଇଟା ଆସୁନି କାହିଁକି ଏଇଟା ଖୋଲୁନି କାହିଁକି ଏଇଟା ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଏଇଟା ୟୁନିଟ୍ 1 ଟା ଖୋଲିଲି ଏଠି ଆସୁନି ଏଇଠି क्या करो राइट क्लिक कर दो फिर स्क्रीन पर एडिट एग्जिट फुल स्क्रीन कहीं होनी कौन केमती पड़ेगा कहीं एटा तो आसिया कथा एटा भी आसुनी कौन करिया एटी तरह स्कैन स्कैन करिया कथा बोल सेट तो कंप्यूटर आसिया कथा डिसमिस कले देखिया आउ थरे चेंज करिया आसुची जे एटा आसुनी ना ए जो स्क्रीन टा एटी ओपन कले ए धरन एटा ओपन हैला एटा एटी ओपन हैला ओपन हैला एटी आसिया कथा कोठी एटी आसिया कथा ना कहीं एटा ना देखा नथु सेठी अक्षय कुमार देखि पर स्क्रीन से शेयरिंग रे नो
नहीं सर
हेलो
खाली फाइल गुड़ा देखाउची सर फाइल गुड़ा खाली देखाउची
कहीं देखाउनी कहीं मु बुझ पाउनी हां एतन डाली मु विंडो रे नाली व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम ये तो स्क्रीन शेयरिंग हां डेले एटा ओपन पड़ियो प्रेजेंट समथिंग एल्स हां विंडो जानतो विंडो वाला तो एटी आसीबो हां एटा मतलब हां ओके
आसला सर
थैंक यू
ଏବେ ଆସିଲା सर
हां ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ନମସ୍କାର, ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ patience ପାଇଁ. And you know that we are going to discuss regarding the evaluation in teaching learning process. But when we are concerned with the term evaluation, then definitely we should not have to forget the word measurement assessment. But on the same time, we are also to have the sufficient knowledge regarding the test, examination, all other things. But in the Indian school system, we all know that we are giving much more importance on the examination than the evaluation. But in the teaching learning process, definitely assessment is the part of teaching learning process, and you know that it helps the evaluation. And also end product, we can able to know the result of the performance of the students. Similarly, we are using the term that is the tests, examination, appraisal, and also commonly we are going through the examination in the different types. It may be the semester system, it may be the half yearly examination, it may be the annual examination. But definitely we want to measure the performance of the students. And you all know that we are having the educational objectives, and we must have the learning experiences, and we must have to know the learning products. When a teacher is teaching, at that time the teacher is teaching a particular subject, and while he is teaching, he definitely must have to know how far the knowledge and information the teacher has given, whether it is acquired by the students or not. For this purpose, the teacher is conducting the different type of the examination. Or we say that the teacher is taking the help of the measurement. And with the help of the measurement, definitely the teacher assigns the number to the individuals, considering some characteristics. Similarly, we can say that measurement is nothing but the quantitative description of one's performance. Suppose one secure the mark 60 in history. That is the quantitative result. So definitely when we are quantifying the degree which something possessed by the student, it may be the trait, it may be the quality, it may be the characteristics. That definitely we say that quantification is nothing but the measurement. So definitely we know that marks, scores, or assignment of the numerical things, definitely it is measurement. But when we are concerned with the scales of the measurement, then definitely we must have to divide it into the four scales. One is nominal scale, another is ordinal scale, and next is we say the interval scale, and another is ratio scale. But you know that nominal scale means we can classify the people and objects into the various categories or classes or sets. Maybe example is it may be male or female. The number we may give one or two, whatever male, one, two. For example, subjects we can give the one for education, two for psychology, three for commerce, all these things. These numbers could not be added. We cannot add it. Suppose one education is there, two education is there, three, we cannot add it. Subtraction is not possible. Rank is not possible. And it cannot be statistically manipulated. But when we are considered with ordinal scale, then definitely we can able to know that ordinal is nothing, but it is the, we can say the tallest to smallest, a tallest to shortest. But that is ranking. Some traits we'll have to consider, then we'll have to rank. It may be the height, it may be the it may be the scores, or it may be the, we can say in the ascending order, in the descending order. We may apply it. Highest to lowest is descending, and you know that lowest to highest is ascending. Suppose in case of the marks in the class in a particular subject, when we are giving the ranks, definitely we must have to say that it is nothing but the ordinal scale. But when we are considering the interval scale, you know that here there is no absolute 0 point. Means the 0 point is not there. Suppose think about the intelligence, think about the achievement, but zero is not there. Each and every individual has the intelligence. It will be never zero. But we must have, in a interval, we must have to measure it. Suppose intelligence 5 to 10, 10 to 20, whatever it may be, you know that the frequency distribution table is there. Then you can have, where absolutely no zero is there, then definitely it includes the interval. It may be the achievement, or it may be the performance, it may be the intelligence score, whatever it may be. Suppose you know that two individuals in case of the intelligence are not the same. We cannot say. Suppose IQ will differ from person to person. But we cannot say, suppose one student has IQ is 20, then if two students, then definitely it will be 50. No, it is not possible. So when we are concerned with the ratio, it starts from the zero. That when we are measuring the speed, height, or distance, then definitely we can take the help of the measuring instrument. It may be the tape. It starts from the zero. So zero means height we can measure, weight we can measure, then definitely it is not considered with the, we can say that in the interval scale. But when we are concerned with the assessment, then definitely we must have to know that it is nothing but a process of collecting evidence. When we are assessing anybody, assess the Odia meaning is we can say that akalana. When we are assessing anybody, at the time we must have to collect the evidence, and after that we must have to make a judgment. What outcomes we'll have to find, then definitely after assessment we can able to give the opinion. The word assess means we can say that it helps to assist to judge something. In the classroom, definitely we are assessing the students' performance in the teaching learning process that facilitate the maximum learning which the student can able to achieve further. But think about the assessment of learning. When we are saying that assessment of learning, then definitely it is basically focused on learner's achievement, some specific predefined outcomes or standards. We are fixing the predefined standard, and you know that when we are fixing the predefined standard means we expect something from the students. After that we are conducting the test, and at the end of the test of a particular unit or a term or a semester, we are getting the marks. And when we are getting the marks, then definitely it will help to provide the grade or rank to the learners. So assessment of learning helps to plan future learning, to achieve the future objectives. And it is nothing but a way how the students can go further ahead. And it provides evidence of achievement. And the educators, the parents, and also the students, definitely they are able to know the performance of the students. It provides transparent interpretation across all audience. Whoever going to the school, whatever it may be, they want to know everything about the students. They can see the performance of the learning outcomes of the students there. When we are thinking about the assessment of the learning here, teaching and learning is a process. And you know that the student and teacher both are the active. And while the teacher is teaching keeping in mind the objectives of the subject matter. And it facilitates the learner to know more and more in the classroom situation. And it may be structured or it may be unstructured. Definitely, inside the classroom, when the teaching is going on, at that time, the teacher is also sometimes putting some questions. And you know that it is nothing but a formative assessment. And you know that it helps the students to learn better. And also it is nothing but sometimes it involves the formal and informal assessment activities. That means the teacher can formally or informally assess the students observing the activities, and assessment of activities is also the part of the learning. And you know that clear goals and objectives of the learning activity is to be accepted, achieved. And you know that it reflects the belief of all students what they are encouraged to learn more and more. And there will be the process of self-assessment. There is the process of peer assessment. And you know that in the regular classroom, situation, we are also observing that the students are interested to succeed their peer groups. And there is the competitive spirit develops inside the classroom. And you know that sometimes the students is very much interested to acquire more and more knowledge inside the classroom, in the regular classroom situation. And it involves teachers, students, and parents and getting the evidence. And it is not only for a particular student or it is applicable to all the students. But when we are thinking about the assessment as also learning, why we are thinking that assessment is also as a learning? You know, the teacher is using the various tools and techniques, and that is applied for the improvement of the teaching learning process. The students will be more attentive and they can get the opportunity to understand the subject matter in the simplest way. And if there will be the gaps, then definitely the students will face the problems. So it helps the learner to identify their knowledge gap and adapt appropriately in the learning situation. And it also encourages students to take the responsibility for their own learning. That is nothing but it encourages the students and also teachers for self-learning. They can able to know, they can able to understand their strength and weakness, and it provides the students formal and informal feedback. That is nothing but the self-assessment. But there are certain assumptions. Assumptions means what? You know that each and every individuals are not equal. They are having some psychological and also physical differences. Some traits or characteristics which are to be measured. And you know that if it will be measured properly through the different tools and techniques, then definitely it will help the students to learn more or to rectify themselves. And definitely the teacher must have to construct the different type of the test. It may be the paper pencil test, or it may be the performance test, or it may be the test which are available in the market. It may be the written or it may be the oral, whatever it may be. Definitely it will be very much essential for the assessment of the learning. And you know that sometimes we are very much interested to know the child, but how we can able to know the child? We must have to know the child when we will have to collect the maximum information about the student. And it is through the measurement or through the assessment. So we must have to use the multiple sources of information. And when we will collect the information, and it will help to take a decision, and that will be the result of the student and which can able to help the student. But when we are considering the assessment, again we can say that assessment can provide information that helps you to make better decisions. It helps the teacher, it helps the parents to assess the learner's performance. So definitely assessment should be conducted in the fair manner, and if it is conducted in the fair manner, then definitely honestly we can able to collect the proper information about the child. So the क्या हुआ am I audible? Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Audible.
Oh, thank you. And you know that there are some components of the assessment, and when we are thinking about the components which are defined by the Harlan, and the components includes number one is purpose. Purpose, you know, and it is assessment is conducted through the formative process, formative evaluation and summative evaluation. Formative means when we are teaching the topic, and after completion of the course, we are conducting the summative evaluation. Main assessment purpose is to know the learning outcomes of the students in the formative evaluation procedure. And lastly, when we are providing the grade, that is known as the summative evaluation. Assessment use means it helps the learning, and it helps to inform the students, teachers, and parents regarding the results of the students. And sometimes it helps the students' progress. To know the students' progress means tracking the students' progress by the teachers and parents. But when we are assessing something, we must have to assess the regular work of the students, and we must have to conduct the different tests, provide certain tags, and periodically it will be also measured by external. And teaching and learning process is there. During the process, the assessment should be there. But who can able to assess? The teacher and student together. Means when the interaction is going on, at that time the teacher can able to assess the students. And some external agents are there, they also can able to assess the students. But when we are providing certain judgment, then we must have to consider the norms, and the different tags should be provided to measure the different skills, different traits, or different activities. Means specific criteria should be provided, and it should be referenced. Means students should be referenced, means it will be compared with others. When we are writing the report, the marks and scores should be there, and you know that profile is there. And you all know that in case of the profile, we must have to inform, we must have to include all the uh, results. Means you know that when the promotion is going on, at that time, the profile is to be taken into consideration. All the activities you can able to know, and you can able to provide conclusion about the personality or efficiency of the person concerned. Overall, when we are considering the students, we must have to provide the grade or rank. And you know that sometimes we will have to provide the comment and oral feedback to whom? The students. But inside the classroom situation, there should be the internal examination and inter-school moderation process is there. Internal inspection should be there. Informal teacher center. Informal teacher center means sometimes we are giving consideration on the, we can say that child center education is there. But sometimes the teachers should be given the opportunity not only to measure the students' performance in the formal way, but also in case of the informal way. Let us come to our main topic, that is evaluation. You all know that evaluation is nothing but a systematic process of collecting and analyzing the data. Systematic process of collecting and analyzing the data. Measurement gives us only the quantitative information, but it cannot say in what degree we are performing our tasks and what objectives we are going to be achieved. And you know that when we are taking any type of the decisions, we are not considering only one aspect of the student. Suppose how much the mark the students have secured, that is not to be considered for the evaluation. A teacher must have to understand the children first, to understand all the activities what the teacher is going to be conducted in the different situations. So the purpose of evaluation is nothing but to make a judgment about the quality or worth of something. We must have to consider the worth of anything. Worth of anything means here this child has something inside himself. He must have certain inborn qualities and he must have the capacity to learn the subject matter. Only subject matter should not be considered. But when you are evaluating anybody, at that time we must have to collect the quantitative information about the child, what marks he or she has secured in the different subjects. But what type of the student he is, what we are saying about the student, whether he is good or bad, whether his activities are accepted by the others or not. But lastly, when we are saying that Ramo is a good boy, definitely we are considering that Ramo is reading well and Ramo's behavior towards the others is good and Ramo overall is good. So we must have to collect the information in the systematic process to get the evidence. After getting the information, we must have to interpret it properly. Then we must have to give a proper judgment. So evaluation is nothing but we can say the quantitative measurement, qualitative measurement and value judgment. Quantity plus quality plus value judgment. We must have to consider quantity, quality and value judgment. When we are saying that she or he is a nice gentleman, then definitely we can able to consider the quantity, quality and value judgment is there. But good evaluation has certain characteristics. One is validity, details we will have to go in the different unit. Validity, you all know that it is nothing but the, we want to measure what it purports to measure, which one actually desires to measure, means one which actually measures the behavior. What behavior we are interested, we want to measure. Suppose we are saying that now it is, we can say that 6:36 p.m. But if everybody's watch that is 6:36, then definitely it is valid. But when we are considering the reliability, it is nothing but the consistency of this course. And it is nothing but consistency of the measurement, means the result. That is the trustworthy. Suppose in anyone's watch it is 6:37, 6:38, 6:40, 6, suppose 15, then we cannot throw the watch. But the result of the watch is not valid. It is reliable. Means trustworthiness. Is there Vishwasajogya? So any good evaluation must have the validity. Suppose when we are preparing a question, in which year Mahatma Gandhi was born, one answer will be there year, but there will be no ambiguity. Similarly, if there will be the ambiguity, then definitely that is not the proper question. Practicability. So when we are preparing the question paper to evaluate the students' performance, at that time we should be very realistic. We should be very practical. And also we must have to know that when we are measuring something at that time, we must have to think about the cost of the question paper, the time which we will have to provide, and how easy it will be for the evaluation, and how it will be easy to apply in the different fields. Fairness is there, and evaluation must be fair for all students, all learners. What we are expected, what to what we are expected to measure, then that should be the course objectives. First, we will have to consider the objectives, that is the learning objectives. Then we must have to prepare the test, assessment will be there, and after getting the result, evaluation will be there. And we must not have to forget the objectives, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Usefulness. Definitely, evaluation should be very useful for all learners, because if it will not be useful, then we cannot get any feedback, and it will never help to improve the students' strength. Strength means academic strength or current strength, and it can provide the sufficient knowledge about the current strength and weakness of the students. Then we must have to consider the purpose of the evaluation, why we are conducting the evaluation, what are its objectives, to determine the relative effectiveness of the program from the behavioral point of view. We must have to study the behavioral point of view and to take reliable decision about the educational planning. And we must have to ascertain the worth of the time, energy, and resources invested in the program. How we can conduct the test, or how we can able to assess the performance of the students. To identify students' growth, you know that if they will lack of the growth, then definitely the desired knowledge and skills and attitudes cannot be achieved by the students. To help the teachers to determine the effectiveness of the teaching techniques. And when the teacher is teaching, at that time the teacher is also utilizing the resources what he has. The teacher is sometimes using the teaching aids, and sometimes the teacher is also using the ICT, information communication technology. PowerPoint is there, and it helps to motivate the students to learn more and to discover their progress. But lack of the progress, the students will not secure good marks, or they're not able to promote the next or higher classes. It will help encourage the students, or why continuously, and you know that evaluation is a continuous and comprehensive and continuous process, and it can develop this sense of discipline, because there will be a systematic study if evaluation is there, and educational administrators can able to get the adequate information about the teachers and also the effectiveness of the teachers, and what the school need, whether the teachers are doing their job properly or not. Parents and guardians are also able to know the performance of the students, and you know that it helps to identify some of the problems, and also the problems can be solved with the help of the assessment or the measurement. And sometimes we are able to manage the different resources which are available in the school, and we must have to know how to ensure an economic management and efficient management of the resources which are available, and what objectives are there we must have to fulfill it. After that we will give the certificate. If objectives are not to be fulfilled, then the certificate is quite meaningless. After completion of the education, if the students will not get any employment, then definitely what is the result? Definitely we are living in the society. Our objectives of the education should be the needs and necessities of the society. Aims and objectives of the society should be taken into consideration. You know that evaluation is nothing but measurement and value judgment. But assessment and value judgment is there. And measurement, assessment, and value judgment. So definitely we can say that measurement is quantitative. Qualitative is, we can say, the qualitative is we are always giving the assessment process is there. Lastly, we are giving the value judgment, that is nothing but the evaluation. But teaching, learning process and evaluation. You know that in the teaching learning process, we are always related with the educational objectives, effective learning experiences, and the learner's appraisal. That is nothing but educational objectives. You all know that cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Effective learning experience means after the teaching. What type of the learning experience we have, and when we are conducting the assessment, at the time we are getting the result. So three major elements are in the educational process. One is objective, another is learning experiences, and learner's appraisal. Objectives, you all know that when we are teaching something, at that time we are considering the objectives of the subject matter. What to achieve, and what are these subjects should be included to achieve the objectives, and how the learning experiences will be provided through teaching learning process. And lastly, the learner's appraisal means nothing. It is concerned with the asserting the extent to which the objectives have been met. What type of the objectives we have, whether the students have achieved it, means appraisal means we can able to consider, or we can able to evaluate, means we can able to we can able to have the value judgment. Learners appraisal means मूल्य निर्धारण करिबा बा हमें we are able to summarize समीक्षा करिबा what results we are getting after considering the three prospects of the teaching learning process and evaluation. Role of the evaluation plays an important role in the teaching learning process. We are formulating the objectives and we are designing the learning experiences, and lastly we are assessing the learner's performance. First we are formulating objectives, then we are providing the learning experiences, after that we are assessing the learner's performance. And you know, during this process we are giving importance on teaching. You know that we are going to assess the effectiveness of teaching. What strategies the teacher is to be followed, what methods and techniques the teacher is going to follow, and what feedbacks we are getting, what feedbacks the teachers are also getting after they are teaching. Next, curriculum. When we are teaching, whether we are following the curriculum or not, whether we are just skipping the subject matter or not. We should not skip it, and we must have to teach the students in the friendly manner. We must have to consider the need of the students and we make them very active in the teaching learning process. And what knowledge and information he has to acquire during the classroom teaching, that will be have accountability to the society. The demands and requirements of the society can be fulfilled and he can able to get the employment in the society. He can able to provide certain benefits for the members of the society. And lastly, the parent will be satisfied if he can able to know the needs and requirement of the parents are to be fulfilled. So here we can lastly say that assessment for enhancing the learning means teaching learning process is there, but how assessment is also enhancing the learning. We can able to know our strength and weakness. That's why it accelerates the students to learn more and more. It also helps in monitoring the learning process. That is same thing. Or minimum achievement we are able to achieve. And teachers are able to know how they are planning their teaching learning process and in short term or long term, what needs of the students are to be achieved. The teachers are planning and teaching. After that, in long term, what learners have to be learned, the teacher is interested to know. But while teaching, the teacher is also facing some sort of the difficulties. Not only the teacher is facing some sort of the difficulties, all the facilities are not available in the classroom situation. But the teacher is trying his best to provide best learning to the learners. But there are certain learners who have some learning difficulties. The teacher's duty is to identify the learning difficulties and also can able to adopt suitable strategy to support the learners. Definitely, assessment is maintaining continuity in communication. The teachers and students and parents are communicated each other regarding the performance of the students. Then other terms are related to assessment. One is appraisal of the judgment. You know that what is good and bad. We can able to know the values of the students. This judgment we can assess the value or worth of the others. Annual performance appraisal is there in case of the industry when we are promoting any employee. Employee's performance is also assessed based on self-appraisal submitted by the person concerned and it is authenticated by the seniors. The seniors can able to know. Similarly, appraisal performance is there where we are getting the personal information. Self-assessment is there when we are observing the service records, when we are observing all the progress reports of the students, then definitely what contribution he has or what marks he has secured, what achievements are there, that will be nothing but this. It helps for this self-assessment. And appraisal by the referring the authority, the headmaster or the principal can able to give certain remarks. And that remarks is very important. And the reviewing authority is there and they are also reviewing the sort of things. And lastly, they will give the conclusion. But test is there, test is nothing, but it is a tool to measure the sample behavior. What behavior we are interested to measure, that is nothing, but it can be measured through different type of the test. And test is nothing but a tool for quantitative measurement and also the qualitative assessment. We must have to use the test. Without test, we cannot get the qualitative and quantitative measurement. Criteria of the test: administration condition. Test can be conducted individually or in a group. Scoring, it may be conducted by the objective or subjective tests are there, then you will have to get the scores or mark time limit for power test and for the speed test. Generally, when we are providing more time, it is meant for the power test, but less time we are providing, it is nothing but the speed test. That is nothing but complete the text within the stipulated period. Nature of the item, you know that it may be the verbal, it may be the non-verbal, or it may be the performance test. Purpose is nothing but it may be standardized or teacher made. Two tests are there, standardized tests are there, where so many norms we have to follow. Teacher made test is uh, differing from person to person, from school to school, whatever it means. Then examination, you all know, there is no need to explanation. In the formal system, we are always conducting the examination, and after the getting the result, we are able to give a comparison to others. And examination may be classified considering to measure certain criteria. It may be the written, oral, or practical. Purpose is diagnostic, performance, and promotion. Diagnostic means you know that when we are finding some learning difficulties, after conducting the examination, we are able to rectify it. Then we are giving certain performance tags. Then it will be held for the promotion. It may be annual, semester, or monthly. Objective is academic, performance, and competitive. Okay, we have already finished unit 1, then we will have to consider the unit 2. Again, whether I am unit 2. No screen. I am facing the problem again. No. Okay. Screen sharing is not possible. Then can I speak all these things? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Try to adjust today. Tomorrow there will be no problem. I will have the practice. Why? What is the problem is there? Let me know all these things. Okay. Windows. Windows. Share. Yeah. No. No. It will not be. Okay. in unit 2, what is this? Stop. Just 1 minute. Hello, hello.
Again,
Yes.
Okay, uh, okay. Let us have to discuss the perspective of the assessment, and here we'll have to discuss the behavioristic perspective, cognitive, constructive, and assessment of learning and assessment for learning. Assessment of learning and assessment for learning. And definitely, we as the teachers, we must have to know the progress of the learners. So definitely, we are using the different type of the test to assess the progress of the students. It may be the verbal or it may be the written. So while we are using all these tests, then it is going on in our day-to-day practice, then definitely we are trying our best to get the information about the learners. And teacher also getting all the informations to help the students, means to know the strength and limitations of the learner. And after that, it will be possible for them to adjust himself or herself accordingly. But you know that a traditional examination is there, but gradually it is converted to continuous and comprehensive evaluation. That is known as the CCE. And you know that we are sometimes previously we are providing the numerical assessment, giving the new importance of numerical assessment, numbers, but now marks are converted to the grades. But when we are considering the behavioristic prospect of the assessment, then definitely we must have to know that learning according to the behaviorism is based on three basic assumptions. First, learning is manifested by the change of behavior. You know that each and every moment we are changing the behavior. But why we are changing our behavior, it, it must be taken into consideration to be studied. Secondly, environment is there. Sometimes environment helps the students to shape their behavior. And lastly, we are getting some sort of the reinforcement centrally in the teaching process, which also enhance the learning of the students. So definitely, always we should have the experience to be good. How the children should be happiest one, and how the children will be good and fair in their classroom work, it is our responsibility to consider. So behavioristic learning theories consider learning is the association of the stimulus and the response. And where there is the stimulus, there is the response. And definitely we are getting it to change the behavior of ourselves. Because when we are showing some stimulus, then we are getting the response. If the response is considered to be affected to us, then we are changing our stimulus. You know that sometimes reinforcement is there and it can able to consider or to measure the ability and achievement of the students. Personal experience in the social cultural context we are living together, and definitely we are getting some sort of the influence of our culture and society. In the remote area, tribal area, when the people are living there, they are coming in contact with the different type of the peoples there. Sometimes when the urban areas people are going, they are interacting with themselves. So their personal experience in the social cultural context is also changing. So definitely educational system always influence through the behaviors of ourselves. But when we are considering the cognitive aspect, it cognitive is nothing but the knowledge, and we are getting the knowledge that are the cognitive development. You all know that Piaget four stages: sensory motor, and another is pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and formal operational stage. But you all know that now the education is child center. And in case of the child center, we are giving much more importance on the development of the children by giving so many freedom. And you know that we are considering to study the activities of the students, their behaviors in the different situations. We are observing it, and also how the students are practicing it, how they are manipulating it, how they are modifying it, how they are constructing it. Means you know that assimilation, accommodation is there. You will have to learn in the cognitive development. When we are constructive based point of view, we are saying that learning is the process. Learner is in the learning process, and learner's personal experience play an important role. How the learner is constructing the what experiences the learner has achieved. Consequently, the learners are sometimes passive recipient, but sometimes the learner is also active. And you know that when learner is active, then definitely he will have to acquire the active knowledge, and he will be able to collect the knowledge from the different sources and also construct it in different situations. Knowledge means you know that knowledge can be transferred uniformly to the all students, all learners. Mane uniformly knowledge is transferred to all students through the teaching learning process. And definitely the students, what knowledge and information they have required, they are collecting it and they learn it through the different sources. Same content, same content is learned in the different ways. And lastly, we say that assessment of understanding the learner rather than their surface knowledge ability to recall the facts. Means knowledge is to be acquired and it is kept in our mind or memory, and whenever necessity we are recollecting it or we are to recall the facts. Concept mapping, you know that always we must have to construct the map. We will have to a conceptual framework, and learning approach. Learners are engaged in engaged sharing and developing their own personal assessment, and you know that they are keeping the track on their own performance. They are also getting the feedback. After getting the feedback, they can refine their knowledge, their skills, and their behavior. You know that learning is possible, and you know that throughout life we are learning, and learners are also engaged, or learners are to be participated in the different situation, and also getting the feedback, he can able to refine their knowledge. Assessment of the learning. After teaching a lesson, after teaching a lesson or unit, you might be interested to know the level of the achievement of the students. on the content you have taught. Therefore, you give them some test. So the predominant objective of the assessment in the school is the assessment of the learning. When a particular lesson or a particular unity is taught by the teachers, the teacher is interested to know how far the content the teacher has taught is achieved by the students or acquired the knowledge what he have given by the students. So definitely the assessment objective in the school is nothing but the to conduct the assessment of learning outcomes. So different type, various type of the tests are there to work to get the grades and marks. Sometimes we are getting the high marks or sometimes we are getting the low marks, and sometimes we are also pass in the examination or sometimes we also fail in the examination in case of the students. But minimum level of the learning we must have to achieve, that is the assessment of learning. And when we are considering the assessment for learning, then definitely you know that it is nothing. The objectives of the learning process is to assess the outcome of the learning. So the outcomes of the learning means what type of the knowledge this child has to be acquired. कौन से acquired करी? The role of the individual is to be taken into consideration because there are different types of the students. जो मानकर you know that the students capacity is always depending upon the intelligence, and intelligence also responsible for the learning, because you know that ability to learn is nothing but the intelligence. It is the global capacity of the individual. According to the intelligence, the human beings are in the different. There is the individual differences, and you know that we must have to take it into consideration of the individual differences. How the learners learn. You know that teachers are very much interested to know the learner's progress with reference to the peer groups. Reference to peer groups means friends. How far the friends are securing the good knowledge or not. And lastly, we can say that assessment as the learning, you know that when the learner personally monitor himself or herself, then definitely he can assimilate the knowledge and also he can able to require some sort of the changes, and he can able to monitor himself, and after using the feedback, he can able to adjust in the different situations. You know that accommodation is nothing but when the knowledge we are getting and at that time we are accommodating it in the different type of the situation. Adoption is nothing but adjustment. Assimilation is a cognitive process, and you know that the information which we are getting the past information and present information, then new information is able to create it. Behavior is there. Behaviorism is always related to our behavior. Cognitive is always related to our cognitive means the knowledge. It requires the learning, memory, analysis, synthesis, and problem solving. Concept mapping is nothing but a concept or idea will come to our mind, and that idea will be broken down in the different topics. Constructivism is also there. You know that it is always related to our cognitive structure. Contiguity, internalization, mastery learning, and a minimum level learning. And you know that minimum level learning is always related that what learning capacity we have minimum. That is minimum level learning is always related to get the knowledge required for the development of the efficiency. That is always related to quality with equality, irrespective of the caste, creed, color, sex, and religion. We must have to provide certain knowledge and information which can able to develop the quality of the learning. Reinforcement is there, positive reinforcement helps to provide certain feedbacks. You know that. And lastly, stimulus, you know that sometimes it is elicited by the sensory organs. Whenever we'll get the stimulus, then we'll have to respond. And in different situation, our response is quite different. See, not share. Okay, Kumar. Two units are there.
ସାର୍ ଭଏସ୍ ଅଡିବୁଲ୍ ହଉନି।
ଏବେ ଶୁଭିଲା?
ସାର୍
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ସାର୍ ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ସେଠି ହାତ ମାରି ଯାଇଥିଲା। ହଉ ସରି। ଏଗେନ୍ କହିବି?
ସାର୍ ଫାଷ୍ଟ ରୁ କୁହନ୍ତୁ, କିଛି ଶୁଭିନି।
ଠିକ ଅଛି କହୁଛି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା
Evaluation, you know that quantitative and qualitative plus value judgment. And ତାର ଅର୍ଥ ହଉଛି ଯେ always we are considering to get the quantitative, qualitative. After getting the quantitative and qualitative result, we are considering it and we are giving a value judgment, whether it is bad or good. Similarly, different approaches are there. One approach is evaluation, is placement evaluation. Placement evaluation is nothing but before instructional process, the teacher is interested to know what entry behavior the child has, the learner has. Means it is placement evaluation. Entry performance test. What existing knowledge the child has to perform the task, means to get the knowledge regarding the subject matter. But when we are going another stage approaches, that is formative, it is conducted during instructional process. Teaching learning process is going on inside the classroom situation. Different units are there and formative evaluation is there to be conducted. Why? To know the mastery in the content. When the teacher is teaching, the teacher is conducting some sort of the tests. The test may be the unit test, quarterly examination test, half yearly test, and you know that examination is there. And after conducting the examination, it is able to know that after teaching a particular unit, how far the knowledge and information the child has. That is nothing. Formative evaluation is going on inside the classroom situation, teaching learning process. When we are teaching a particular subject, particular unit, at that time we are using the different tools. It may be the questionnaire. Observation is there. Observation means you are giving certain assignment, whether the students are doing it or not. Interview schedule is there. We will have to conduct some sort of the competitions. Checklist is there. Some projects will be there. How the project are to be conducted. Rating scale means you will conduct the debate competitions. During this process, you can able to rate that how far the students achieved a particular skill. Anecdotal records, you know that anecdotal records, we are saying that we must have to able to assess the students performance, means we will have to give a opinion, means ଆମକୁ ଗୋଟେ ଆଖ୍ୟାନ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ। ରେକର୍ଡ ଆଖ୍ୟାନ ମାନେ ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଛାତ୍ର ଜୀବନ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଉଲ୍ଲେଖନୀୟ ଘଟଣା ତାର ଘଟିଛି ଜୀବନରେ ତାକୁ ଆମକୁ ରେକର୍ଡ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ ଅନ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କର ଶୁଣିକି। Document analysis means different documents are there in the school. Through group discussion, we can able to know it. Test or inventories are there. Action plan you will have to conduct. Profile analysis is there. I am saying that different type of experiments the students will have to conduct inside the classroom situation. Worksheet is there. Seminar is there. Symposium is there. Survey we will have to conduct and get the result. But when we are considering the diagnostic evaluation during the instructional process, you know that there are certain students, they are not able to read more and more. They are not able to understand what the teacher is going to teach. They are not in a mood to understand everything. So definitely here we will have to identify that particular students, and we must have to consider what difficulties the students has acquired. That difficulty should be identified and it should be removed immediately. So diagnostic test is able to remove the difficulties of the students during the teaching learning process. That is nothing but a remedial treatment to overcome the learning difficulties of the students. We must have to identify the students. We must have to provide the remedial measures. It may be the personal, it may be the physical or psychological problems are there. And it should be taken into consideration. After considering all the difficulties, the remedial procedure should be provided to the child to get a better result. Summative evaluation, you will know that after, बोलिए
Sir, what is the difference between a anecdotal record and a portfolio?
Portfolio means when a particular servant, sorry, employee is working in a particular institution, at that time we are giving some appraisal report. Yes or no? You know, but anecdotal records is not anecdotal record is nothing, but we are going to face the different situation. We are having showing the different type of the behaviors. We are having the different type of the situations which have some sort of the results. So definitely from the different sources, means it may be the from the students, it may be from the teachers, it may be from the parents. We will have to know that what achievement the child has in the different situation, what type of the result he has to face, what type of the consequence he has to face. Okay. Port- Portfolio means I will have to discuss later, because there is also the portfolio is there. I will have to explain you. Okay. And
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. And there is the formative and summative evaluation is there. You know that during the teaching learning process, we are using the formative evaluation, and also at the end of the teaching learning process, we are conducting the uh, term or semester system of examination, that is annual examination. Here purpose is to know the progress where in the formative evaluation, and to provide feedback also to the students, to provide the data for the summative evaluation. Here we are giving the grade to the students. We are providing some feedbacks, and it includes the formative, it includes formative evaluation. Formative evaluation, what type of the result we are getting, that will also helpful for the, we can say, summative evaluation. So learning objectives we are to be achieved in the uh, formative evaluation, but summative evaluation actually what objectives of the course and program we are going to achieve to be evaluated, and it is the vast in nature. But inside the classroom, it is maybe the teacher may test, the teacher can able to ask some questions, that may be the examination, means oral or written examination will be conducted by the teacher. But here mostly external sources are taken into consideration, that is board or university is conducting the examination. It may be in summative evaluation, it is nothing but a written type examination. Here it is standardized. The question is standardized, and it is referenced to the evaluation procedure, and we are getting the result, that is outcome of the results. We can conduct the written test there, paper pencil test is there. But in case of the formative, it is nothing. We are getting the evaluation uh, among these students, many a particular class or group of students are there. It may be the internal, it is nothing but it is quick evaluation. Immediately we'll conduct the evaluation. Tools means that is the text, uh, paper, questionnaires, all to be taken into consideration. Product means here, lastly, summative evaluation, we are getting the products, means we are getting the certificate, we are getting the degree, we are getting the we can able to give some, we will certify the learner that he has secured the first, second, third, grade A, B, C, whatever it may be. Internal examination and external examination. You know that internal examination and external examination. You know that internal examination means, you know that when we are conducting the formative evaluation, at that time it is highly based on the formal and informal observation of the students in the various activities. And you know that popularly internal evaluation is gradually it is increasing, but most of the cases continuous and comprehensive evaluation is conducted in the internal evaluation system. Internal evaluation always support the formative and diagnostic evaluation. I have already told you that placement evaluation is there, formative evaluation is there, diagnostic evaluation is there. But in case of the formative evaluation, at that time we are going to conduct the test during the teaching learning process, and it helps to know the weakness of the students, and after that we are providing the diagnostic evaluation. We are conducting the diagnostic evaluation, and diagnostic evaluation is also providing some sort of the base for remedial teaching. And when we are giving the remedial teaching, that will be also help the different type of the students who are not able to learn more and more. External is always related to summative evaluation, and it is conducted by the external bodies. External experts are there, and they are giving the question paper, standardized question paper. They are evaluating the answer scripts, and you are also sometimes conducting the Viva's test. And here, due to the internal examination and external examination, we are able to know the strength and weakness of the students. And you know that the attitudes of the teachers to few students is also an issue in the internal examination, because you know that we have some favoritism towards the students, and we are not considering the problems what they are facing. And you know that to minimize the limitations of the internal evaluation, definitely we must have to take into consideration of the external evaluation. Then norm referenced and criterion referenced evaluation. Here norm referenced and criteria reference testing is there, and this classification of the test is also called the typology of the nature of reference. But we must have to know that norm referenced evaluation means here we are going to know one's relative position where in the particular group, and you are also considering certain norms. Suppose we want to know one's rank or position in the 10th board examination. That is the norm result of the norm reference evaluation. The individual score gives certain meaning when it is compared with other scores in the group. When marks are evaluated with reference to the average, it is norm reference evaluation. Suppose a result of a particular school is 90%. A result of a particular school is 60%. Suppose when we are considering the result, at that time we must have to consider that in it whether it is the own school result or it is the result reference to the board. If it is the same school result, then definitely it has no meaning at all. So we must have to consider with the large group of the people. So when we are expressing the mark in terms of the standing in the group, the position, relative position, the rank of the students, then definitely suppose one is equating the 7th rank in the large group, it is considerable. Suppose 10 people are there, 10 students are there, one is equating the 7th rank, it is not possible. Sometimes the scores are also converted to the grades. It may be the A, B, C, D, and E. When I will discuss regarding the grades, then the division of the grades I can able to explain. So definitely standing or a rank may be expressed by the percentile norms. Non-reference achievement tests are very popular and very familiar among ourselves. But when we are considering the criterion, then criterion means here criterion reference evaluation is related to performance of the students in a well-defined learning text. Well-defined learning text means it has nothing to do with the norms or relative rank or the position of the students in any way defined group. It will never consider the positions of the others. There is no norms are there, only criterion, only situation we will have to consider some. Here there is the distinction. You know that time of use means end of the term, but school board examination is norm reference test. But criterion reference test is during the process of instruction. When the teaching is going on, at that time we want to test a particular criteria, then we can conduct the criterion reference evaluation. Similarities with the summative evaluation. Norm reference is summative evaluation by standardized evaluation. Here it supports the formative evaluation and diagnostic evaluation. Formative evaluation, diagnostic evaluation is there, support kare. And you know that purpose is to know the relative position by rank compare with the student in group. Tanko group bhitere tar comparison there. To know the individual performance in learning test, no comparison is possible with other students. Relative, here non-reference test is used as certain individual status with respect to the performance of other individuals on the test. ଅନ୍ୟମାନେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଟେଷ୍ଟ ଦେଉଥିବେ ତା ସହିତ compare କରିବ। ଏଥିରେ କ'ଣ ହେଉଛି ନା a criteria difference is used to ascertain an individual status with respect to a defined achievement domain. And there are so many we can say relative differences are there, and you can go through your book, that is that is 58 page and 59 page. So population is here. We can say that students in the state region, we are taking into consideration the large group of the students, but criterion difference we are considering a particular class or section of a school. But in the process of the development, all the steps of standardizing test are followed, because we are providing the grade, and you know that it is considered with the external examination evaluation system. But criterion reference test has no external evaluation system. Mostly it is used internally inside the classroom situation by their own teachers. And type of the test here, objective type and essay type test, and popularly we are giving much more importance on the objective type test in case of the non-referent test. But when we are considering the criterion referent test, all type of the items are taken into consideration. It is comprehensive by nature. You know that here we are going to get the competencies of the students on their own knowledge. And similarly, non-referent test covers the criterion different test here only to get some sort of the facilities which are getting the criterion different test. Means you know that criterion different test categorically provide the shape of a norm different test taku help karibo. And product means here certify the grade, we are giving the grade to the students. Lastly, here we are considering how far the minimum level of the learning the students have achieved, what mastery the students has in the learning text, and it can help the teachers to know the entry behavior, and also what type of the new knowledge and information the students are getting. When we are constructing the criterion referent test, it is very locally. Subject area we will have to select. It may be mathematics, English, environmental studies, and selection of the unit, because in small scope we are conducting inside the classroom situation. Select a particular unit and develop the test. And here domains means particular segment of the conduct, a particular segment, gote part ko ame content ro naba. One may examine the topic, and also sub-domain we may consider the facts, concept, principles. Basically, it is classroom test. I can say that well, specific domain objects are there, objective are there. Objectives are expected to test the learning outcomes, and also we are very much interested to know precisely the performance of the students, and more clarification we can able to get. External review will be taken into consideration, internal review will have to taken into consideration, and we can able to construct taking the different type of the forms. We are saying that form means different type of the forms in the A form, B form, we can able to taken into consideration. Okay, external review should be there. Prior to trial, external review should be there, re-review should be there. The field trial means we'll have to consider the 10 to 5 students. Then we will conduct the test. What result we are getting will be taken into consideration. Interviews should be there. Final form of the test should be prepared, and it should be used inside the classroom situation. We will have to get the final result. Last unit. Fourth unit. Screen share ହେଇଯାରେ no again try Windows फिर भी चेक करो
सर
हाँ
शेयर टा करी होनी कि सर शेयर करी होनी
ରହିଥା ଏଇ ତିନିଟା ଯାକ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ କରୁ କରୁ ହେଇଗଲା ଗୋଟେ ତ ଲାଷ୍ଟ ଅଛି ଆଉ
मते नाले पठे दो नांती मु शेयर कर देबी
ବड़ा କରିଦେଲେ ଆର୍ଥରକୁ କରିଦେବୁ ସବୁ ଯାକ
आगे हो
ବୁଝିଲା କି ଅଜୟ ସାର୍ ଆର୍ଥରକୁ
आगे सर
ସବୁ ଯାକ ଦେଇଦେବି କରିକିରି ତମେ ସେଇଠୁ କରିଦବ ଆଇ ୱିଲ୍ ନଟ୍ ଫେସ୍ ଏନି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହିୟର ଓକେ ଏଇଟା
आगे
ଦେଖିବା କଣ ହଉଛି ଏଇଥରକ ଦେଖୁଛି ଟ୍ରାଏ କରୁଛି
सर सर
ସୁଇଚ୍ ହିୟର ଓକେ ଅଜୟ ବାବୁ ହେଲା
सर 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 विजिबल विजिबल सर सर
ठीक
कंटिन्यू
ଅଛି ଠିକ ଅଛି and today's last unit is unit 4 issues concern and trends in assessment and we'll have to consider what is to be assessed criteria to be used to assess the process and product who will apply the assessment criteria and determine the marks or grades how will the scores or grades be interpreted source of error in examination recent trends in assessment and evaluation and learner center assessment strategy, question banks, semester system, continuous internal evaluation, choice based credit system, and marking versus grading system, open book examination, ICT support assessment and evaluation, and application of computer in examination. You know that what is to be assessed? What is to be assessed? ଆମେ କଣ ଆକଳନ କରିପାରିବା and you know that when we are improving the quality of the education we are giving much more importance on three domains three components it is input process and product input means you know that what type of the human and physical resources we are providing to the students for the quality of the result quality of the education that is input high quality input in terms of the human and physical resources should be provided to the students process means improving various administrative and academic process It is based on the administration, how the examination system is going on with the help of the administrative and academic process. Product means appropriate inputs we are providing, appropriate effective process we are also utilizing. Ultimately, we are very much interested to get the result, and that result is nothing but the educational outcomes. Educational outcomes means the product. We are also teaching. Teaching learning process is there. Teacher is there. Students are there. And learning situation is there. And if they are properly working, we are very much interested to know the learning outcomes. And we are very much interested to know the educational products. It may be considered in terms of the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So many teachers believe that there is need to assess the process first, and not only the process but also the products and outcomes. But in addition to evaluation, educational outcomes and the ongoing educational process must be evaluated only to improve the process of learning. If the process of learning is good, then learning products or educational products will be the better. Here we must have to know the criteria to be used to assess the process and product. The criteria for the process and product of the learning may be decided separately than to attempt to do both at once. Means always we must have to take into consideration the to assess the process and product. Who will apply the assessment criteria to determine the marks or grades? You know that who will assess? Only the teacher. Evaluation is a procedure, and it is totally based on the teacher, because teacher centric examination is there. And you know that here the teacher has the sole responsibility to evaluate the students. Though evaluation is not only based on the teacher, but also it is based on a collaborative efforts. Same schools, teachers are not in a position to provide the grade, but other schools are there. Sometimes the teacher is also considering the students' assessment, self-assessment, peers assessment, and opinion of the others to provide the evaluation, because evaluation is quantitative, qualitative, and to give the value judgment. When we are giving the value judgment, not only we are considering the marks of the students in the different subject, but also to consider the self-assessment, peer assessment, and opinion of the other teachers, and to provide the grade to the students. And you know that when we are providing the grades, it is the grade point of the CBSE 2010. You know that 91 to 100 A1, 81 to 90 A2, 71 to 80 B2, 61 to 70 B2, 51 to 60 C1, then C2 D, and 21 to 32 E, and 20 and below E2. Definitely, these are all the grades, and grade points are, you know that we are giving the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grade points are there. But you know that we are conducting the evaluation, we are the teachers, we are conducting the evaluation, but sometimes there are some errors in the evaluation procedure. When we are seeing the anyone's answer sheet, there is also the evaluation is also related to subjectivity. Suppose we know the student and we are giving the mark in the different manner, considering the face. So subjectivity is there, it should not be there. Error is due to biased selection of the topic for asking the questions. Sometimes topics are not properly selected. It is not covered. It is not to be covered in the examination what we are covering. So definitely certain topics have no questions related to them in the test. And errors in selection of the students' abilities to be evaluated. And sometimes you know that when there are so many students, there are certain students whose memory power is more, their understanding ability is more, and they can immediately answer the questions within the stipulated period. Very quickly. But there are certain students who are not able to answer the questions properly. So we must have to prepare a question keeping in consideration all type of the students, and arbitrary time limits. When examination is conducted, at that time we should not provide arbitrary time. That time should be fixed. It may be 1 hour or it may be 2 hours, whatever it may be. It is common to all. And improper evaluation is there. Sometimes when the teachers are evaluating the answer scripts, just they are opening the answer sheet and giving their marks according to their own interest. But that should not be. If you will evaluate the answer script properly, then definitely you are giving justice to the students. And due to assumption or addition of the marks, often in the final scores of the students, marks on different questions are added, and it is assumed that marks are equal weightage in the scale in nature. Therefore, when we are giving the mark, at that time we should consider the results which are reflected in the answer scripts. Then some recent trends are there, and you know that learner center assessment strategy. Learner center assessment strategies. Learner center assessment is intended primarily to inform the students and teachers about what students need to do as they are doing it to improving their learning. Means when we are considering the learner and if the assessment is to be learner centered, then definitely we must have to inform the result to the students and teachers what the students need to do and how the students can improve their learning. And you know that learners are actively involved in the assessment process, and learner centered assessment relates to the students and learning aims and objectives. Learner centered assessment has explicit criteria that can be negotiated, such as focus may vary between the learners. Learner centered assessment involves multiple data sources, and learner centered assessment may be include the individual or collaborative elements. Then question bank. Why we're saying that it is a question bank? That question banks have been called by others such as item banks, item pools, item collections, item reserve barriers, and test item libraries. The same meaning is there, that the questions are collected and it is kept in a particular form. Suppose item pools mean item wise we will have to keep it, item wise we will have to collect it, item wise we must have to reserve it, and you know that library item test items library we must have to keep all the uh, uh, questions are there. Question bank is nothing but a collection of the largest items developed by a group or trend or experienced personals and pretend on the index card or stored in the memory of the computer. Computer is subject wise, topic wise. We will have to prepare the question and keep it in the computer, or we can keep in the library. So it will be considered as the question banks. And whenever we are getting the question bank, at that time we can utilize it in the uh, uh, different situations. Suppose it can help during the crisis when the question is needed, immediately we can get the question from the question bank. Merits means it is there is no, if there is the leakage of the question paper, then definitely expert can also follow the question banks to get the new questions. And the teachers know what type of the questions are to be asked in the examination. It helps the teachers. Question paper can be set immediately in the emergency. The students will also aware about the what type of the questions he will have to get in during the examination period. So question bank helps to facilitate learning in the various angles. Question bank is nothing but a guide for paper setters. Objectivity of the evaluation is quite obvious, as many as the teachers and experts are always depending on the question banks. And question bank improve overall validity of the examination. That question can be prepared properly and it can be tested properly. Question bank may be used by the teachers to get feedback for the improvement of the learning and learning process. But there are certain demerits. Educators do not have uniform opinion regarding the secrecy of the question bank, and originality lacks in the construction of the questions for question papers. You know that when we are preparing the question paper, at that time we must have to keep in mind that the question paper should be content based and it should be related to the subject matter. Sometimes some question setters are having the ego, they can form the different type of the questions out of syllabus also. In the present setup, when examination aim is to pass or fail, there is no justification of such question bank for the students and teachers, because now we are very much interested that we will have to pass or fail in the examination, but fail percentage is less than the pass. It requires proficiency in the technique test construction, and also the item writer may not be well versed with the psychological characteristics of the students. And you know that when preparing the question paper, at that time we must have to difficulty level, follow the difficulty level. That simple questions should be there, average questions should be there, very difficult questions should be there, so that everybody can able to attempt the question, and one should not be feel nervous when he will get the question paper inside the classroom situation. Semester system is there. You all know the semester system. Each and every movement in the degree, there is also the semester system. Semester means what? That a particular course of study is divided into the different equal parts. Suppose you know that 6th semester is there, 4th semesters are there. We will complete a particular course in a particular, fixing a particular part. That part is considered the semester system. Suppose a courses of study for the 2 years, 4 semesters will be there. A courses of study for the 6 years, 3 years, then there will be the 6 semesters. And you know that in case of the +3 degree, we are getting the 6 semesters are there. Semesters may not be involve students throughout the year, but also reduce examination burden. Definitely, we'll say that at a time we are not in a position to read all the matters, but we are considering semester system is the best for all. Merit Sauchi, the students engaged the studies throughout the year, and also students is constantly assessed and continuously their knowledge get improved, and allows greater interaction with the teachers and students. Semester system discourages students to study at the last minute and encourage the rote memory. When we are giving only one annual examination and getting the result, then we are giving much more emphasis on the rote memory. That should not be. And continuous internal assessment is there, periodical tests are there, and it is the greatest merit of the semester system. And students are free to discuss their performances, and transparency in the assessment is ensured. It reduces stress and strain and makes learning purposeful and very pleasant and joyful also. The merits are there. And this system suits only to higher education. It is difficult task to frame proper syllabus for each semester. A gap between the 2 semesters sometimes also the students lose. If one is not able to appear the examination, then definitely he will have to appear the back examination. The workload on the teachers and students is increased. Sometimes it is felt that examination is more than the study. Students get involved in the curriculum, other aspect of the students, and development get hampered. Absolutely, development is not there. Continuous internal evaluation. Continuous internal evaluation means internal assessment is there. You know that at present, continuous internal evaluation is an integral part of the teaching learning process. Internal assessment of the performance of the students in different areas should be conducted. Internal assessment emphasized the assessment of the performance of the students in the different areas, and the characteristics of it involves both ongoing observation and periodical testing of the students. Ongoing observation and periodical testing, you all know it. Both formative and summative purposes, we are using internal assessment. Formative means when we are teaching a particular unit and we are trying to remove the difficulties. Summative means lastly we are conducting examination. Formative in the sense that it is used to improve the instruction. Summative, it is used to supplement final examination result. It will help for the final examination result. It enhances rapport between the students and teachers, incorporate both cognitive and other areas of the students personally. The system compels the students to remain alert and regular throughout the course of their studies. Weakness is also there. Everybody has the weakness. It requires a reasonable teacher-taught ratio. If teacher-taught ratio is more, it is not fruitful. Teachers have ample opportunity for favoritism. And you know that healthy atmosphere should be should be provided inside the institution. And students who arrange the recommendations, impress their teachers, or show closeness to their teachers get more marks. Those who are close to the teachers are giving the more marks or more grades than they deserve. Due to undue pressure, teachers may feel insecure. Internal and external assessment in the system is also subject of debate. Choice-based credit system. It is not new to all. That is, the primary focus is to combine the models in different ways so as to qualify for a certificate or diploma. Choice-based credit system. It implies a redefining of the curriculum into smaller, measurable entities or models. We will have to divide into different models, and we must have to study it during a particular period. And these models will be evaluated. And after the evaluation, combined result will be taken into consideration. And lastly, we'll give a certificate or diploma or degree. In one course, one will be complete, then he will have to get the certificate. Diploma is there and degree. Lastly, we'll have to get the degree. It helps, it provides or enhance the learning opportunity of the students. And you know that learners' scholastic abilities and aspirations will match. The students will be able to choose the subjects and go through it. Inter-institution transferability is there. So completion of the semester, he will have to go through the subject, and improvement of the educational quality and excellence is there. Standardization and comparability of the educational programs across the country, you will have to get the same opportunity. And main advantages is teaching and learning process is shifted from teacher center to learner center. All activities are taken into consideration, and learning is self-pacing and self-directed. You will have to select the subject, you will have to choose the subject, you will have to include in your curriculum, and you will have to appear the examination and get the result. Then self-directed, and respect the learner's autonomy. It allows the learners to choose the subject according to their own learning needs and interest and aptitude. Learners' mobility is there. It offers the opportunity to study at different times and different places. So definitely it is a beneficial for the students. And marking versus graded system, already we have given that the performance students is represented in marks and grades. Marks are used to indicate the raw scores. And when we will have to get the marks, then it will be converted to the grades. And excellent to very poor. And merits are there, gradation system is there, that when we are providing the grading system, 71 to 80 the grade is there, 41 to 50 grade is there. All the grading system we are emphasizing, taking into consideration the marks. Okay, open book examination, you all know that the examiners are allowed to consult their class note, textbook, and other approved materials while answering the questions. That the freedom is there to use the books. Suppose you will get the books, you are not in a you are not in touch with the books, then definitely you will not get the answer. Closed book examination